Hello ladies and germs, how are we doing? Welcome back to some of you. I got your outfit. Oh bloody hell, that's quite an amount. How are we doing? Oh god, why is the volume being funny? Hopefully it doesn't continue to be funny, because otherwise I'm going to have a bit of a problem. Right, what do we not hold enough? It's had a few updates since I last played. Asset is not old enough. We will be the judge of that. Efficient digestion. Oh, we can do that. Right, confirm that one. No, we're not old enough. How are we doing? It's quite alright, Your Majesty. Stream lagging. How laggy are we talking here? Let me try. Maybe we should do that. Windowed full screen. Yeah, that should be the one. Hopefully it's not too laggy. What's the laggy part? Is it the camera? What's lagging? Only the camera. Right, let's sort that then, shall we? Hopefully. Don't know why it keeps on doing this. It's rather a pain, must be said. Maybe if I try this instead. Let me see. Let me see. I do that. Okay. Clearly that doesn't want to do it. Right, hopefully it should be somewhat resolved. Hello, by the way, Horaz. How are you doing, lad? Right, that should do it. Hopefully that fixes it. Tell me how we're doing. Swaying back and forth and all of that. Watching you and the streaming. Okay. Well, we'll see. Maybe it's just the split cam is having a moment. We'll certainly see about it, won't we? Certainly see. Right. But yes, hello all. We are. I am a Stegosaurus. Yeah, the HUD's got a bit of an update as well. I got to love that. What's the game? We're playing the Isles. I'm glad to hear you're doing well, Horace. So, we're playing the Isles today. It's a Dinosaur and Muppet game. Oh, look at that. We've got food nearby. That's nice. Oh, thank you, Duck. Thank you for the follow. Oh, we do have food nearby. So, for those of you who don't know, this is a dinosaur survival game where you be a dinosaur and survive. It's clever, that, isn't it? It's amazing what they come out with nowadays. So, we've got food. As you can see, we've got food visible. Now, the interesting part about this game is you have to worry about as much about nutrition as you do just eating. So you've got to get the right nutrition. So obviously you can see in the top, bottom right-hand corner. Good evening, Minxie. It's a great game, isn't it? You got to love it. We're having a more chilled out session. You know, I've been action-packed, and I'll be honest, gents, it's been a long year. It's been a long year, so I think I'll close it on the Twitch standard a lot more slow-paced. I hope you're doing well, by the way, Minx. So, we're going to consume our food. Now, the interesting part about this game, specifically, is that it mixes a lot of dinosaurs from a lot of different time periods. So, as you know, the Stegosaurus, or as you may not know, the Stegosaurus, indeed. Well, you got to love some relaxation. Let my timbre, if slightly frustrating. Oh, there we are. We missed it. We overshot it. What are we actually... Where's the food? I missed it. There it is. These roots or whatever they are. Let's have a eat of them. Oh, off till Saturday. You can't complain. So, as you can probably hear, there is no communication with dinosaurs that aren't in your species other than the roaring system. So you can... Oh, I overate. Well, that was silly of me. What an absolute lummox I am. So at the moment, I should have really paid attention to that, but oh well. I guess we'll starve to death then. These things happen. Oh, first New Year's off in a long time. Goodness me. You've earned it. Oh joy, can you all hear that in the distance? That's the sound of hungry predators probably going to grief a young Stegosaurus like myself. So, the Isles as a game is a very interesting concept. I know Soviet Womble did a video essay that basically nicely sums it up. Oh, hello, Jodie. Good to see you, my dear. So, the idea is that you play a dinosaur and you have to survive. And survival takes many shapes or forms, such as, you know, what we're doing here. I seem to have vomited everywhere as well. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure there's water nearby, otherwise, you know, we might even just stay nearby here, I think. I don't think there's much need to go to the sanctuary. Oh, you used to work in pubs. Oh, goodness me, you poor soul. So, yes, for those of you unaware, it pits a load of players into... Oh, we're in the migration zone. Okay, even better. It pits a load of players with different dinosaurs. Some carnivore, some herbivore, some omnivore. And pits them all together in a survival island. And basically, the trick is, don't get eaten or killed. Have I ever tried Chivalry 2? I probably need to be honest with you. I heard many a good thing about it. Right, can we eat? We have all the nutrition we could possibly want around here, so goodness me, I don't think we'll be departing anytime soon. So yes, it can be a very terrifying game, but also a slow-paced one. Okay, if we eat, are we going to vomit? Oh god, that sounds like hungry carnivores. Nope, we're not going to vomit. That's good. Let's get all the surplus we could need. Oh god, we're going to vomit. Okay, do we need to rest? Okay, I think we need some water before we do anything. I may have overeaten. Used to love The Land Before Time. What a phenomenal movie that was. Phenomenal series of movies, actually. I'm streaming it now, but I'd love to see you lead a battle. Right, you are. Well, sometime I'll have to sign up for it. But yes, as you can tell, the particular species I've picked to play today is the Stegosaurus. Now, the Stegosaurus was an apex herbivore that was mid to late Jurassic period. I think it was more towards the late Jurassic period. And, you know, one of the most iconic dinosaurs about. There's a lot of different theories on them, so people really don't understand the passage of time all that well. The time difference, there was there was more time between the Stegosaurus and Tyrannosaurus Rex than there was between the Tyrannosaurus Rex and humans, meaning we live closer to Tyrannosaurus Rex than Tyrannosaurus Rex lived with Stegosaurus. I think that's one of the things that fundamentally people completely misunderstand about the history of it all. They get lost in the time period, so to speak. Get lost with the absolute phenomenal passage of time. We do need to get some games of COD in, you're quite right. Just have my interview for the regiment. Oh, you got in! Well done you, 10 Bears!
You know,
Someone
despite the use of this trusty metal detector, I still can't find who the bloody hell asked.
Okay, thank you for that. Much appreciated. Don't you worry, I will fight other dinosaurs. Maybe I should rest in a second, actually. See if I can recover my dinosaur. So, we are surrounded by a surplus of nutritional things over there. We probably need water there, primarily. Otherwise, we are going to die of thirst. Now, the problem being is that some... It's okay. I understand. The problem being is that lots of people really enjoy being bloody crocodiles. What are they called? It's not Dinocycus, it's Dinosuchus. Yeah, that sounds like a nice happening predator over there. So, I do know there is water to be had in and around this area. I can't remember for the life of me, but those do look like more sort of swamp-based aquatic plants. Those trees there specifically. And you can usually tell because the flora is high enough to get out of the rot and everything like that, so it doesn't become such a problem. So we're going to head that way and hope that my intuition is right. I want to make you... what's this? Yes, but I want to make you not have to. I'm not suggesting, I'm asking. I see.
That's not period accurate.
Oh dear. Oh dear. This is very period accurate, thank you very much. So, yes, the Stegosaurus as an animal in itself was very much... There's many different theories as to, okay, we can eat and consume food now. We've gone past all our nutrition. We probably need to get some water in us, otherwise we are going to be in a spot of bother, let me tell you. Now, our best option is to go through that hillside passage and the caves and everything. I don't know if I particularly want to risk it. I'd rather done... Was that someone? Okay, maybe it was just us. Maybe I stood on something I shouldn't have. Now, the trick is, we don't want to, I do have such on the many time period. Well, dinosaurs were a particular fascination of mine, so obviously we have the three main periods of the Mesozoic era. We have the Triassic, the Jurassic, and the Cretaceous. I'd say the Cretaceous is what most people think of when they think of dinosaurs. The Cretaceous is where you see, you know, Hell's Creek, and where you see the Western Interior Seaway, and is where you're all used to Tyrannosaurus Rex, Ankylosaurus, Triceratops, all of the apex well-known thing. And there we are. We can graze as well, so we don't starve to death. So it's probably worth going to get some water first. So yes, very much. Hello, Dutchy. Good to see you. Did I do that again? I did something rather silly, I'm sure. Do we want to go for the nutritional value? I can never remember. I think there is water supplies in and about the place. I can just never remember. We probably should have kept a closer eye. That sounded like we're being followed. Someone's definitely following us, I'm sure of that. Right, we're going to go for some water, because I know that there is actually nutrition around the waterways as well. So there is that. Oh dear. What do you mean Henry's into it? Henry's into everything. Always try something at least once, I think. No, not quite. But what was I thinking? Yes, three main eras of dinosaurs. You have the Triassic period, the Jurassic period, and the Cretaceous period. And it's the late Cretaceous that most are familiar with. The late Cretaceous period, again, you see Hell's Creek and the drying up of the Western Interior Seaway and all of that good stuff. And you see, you know, personally my favourite dinosaur from that era is Ankylosaurus, because of all the specimens thus we've found, this... Okay, surely we're being followed. Maybe it's a gopher or something. Of all the specimens of ankylosaurs that we found, and they lived in the same biosphere as Tyrannosaurus Rex, we've not found one with significant or substantial injuries from T-Rex, which, speak of the devil, that was quite a scream from there. How do you know if you're not gay if you haven't tried? When do we fight a T-Rex? I think we need to grow a bit bigger to fight a T-Rex. I think this little... oh! Here we are. That's what we're looking for. Right. There's a good chance that there's crocodiles in here. A good chance they mean to do us harm. So, we'll be quick about this and hope we don't die. And we need to be ready to run at the first sign of danger. It's always a risk going for a drink, especially being so small. Mind you, I have been a big old Stegosaurus and still been dragged by larger creatures. Tends to be the case that they don't go for stegs purely on the basis, especially the smaller ones, the risk versus reward of trying to eat one of me, because all it is one hit from the Thalagamizer and you're toast, really. You're utterly destroyed. What are we talking about? You and your maiden's opinion matter not to me as the King of Britain. Good to see you're all getting on. I can never remember the tail name. It's the Thalagamizer or something like that. The nomenclature does somewhat elude me in my more elderly prime age. I say that being 28, but what else? Oh God. Okay. So that right there is the predators I'm talking about is a Carnotaur, and that was a bloody hungry one. One thing, and here was a right. We're gonna try that again. This time, try not to be eaten. That would be the way forward. Right. So here's our buddy. Let's see him growing. There we are. You can't be mad, because in this game, it tends not to be they kill you to grief you. They kill you because, they've got to eat as well. High caloric intake for these creatures, and they... Ooh. Oh, goodness, look at this. We're in the woodlands now, boys. Look at this. We're very near a sanctuary there.
Do you need a gun?
Rest in peace, Steggy. But that's okay. I do need a gun, actually. That would be rather helpful, wouldn't it? Now, here, we tend to be... This is more accurate, as we understand. So, excavations found in sort of the time period. In the mid to late Jurassic period, you'd see a large amount of, dinosaurs of such a variety. So, prosauropods and sauropods. Sauropods being... what you traditionally understand as the long-necked dinosaurs, like Diplodocus, Brachiosaurus, all of that lot. The younger ones would stay in the woodland environment because the main contenders they had to deal with, especially in the North American region, was Allosaurus and such. They couldn't effectively maneuver in environments like this. The game doesn't quite reflect it, but there's a lot of foliage to hide in. And, funny story about the Allosaurus. I like the thought that T-Rex could have afro. It certainly is. Do I read any political philosopher? A few bits and bobs here and there, but I tend to dip out of political philosophy. Ultimately, any political philosopher is restrained by the reality that people are people. And political philosophers and political philosophy tends to be, in any sort of ideology, tends to be vanguardist. And what do we know about a vanguard? Traditionally, they always die first. And there's good reason for that. They're the trailblazers. They open the path for the rest of the army, but they tend to die first. So, any political philosophy is to be sort of, taken with a pinch of salt. But that's why I prefer my history. Like the old... So, you see here, well-camouflaged young Stegosaurus. This is what they do traditionally back in the day of the mid to late Jurassic period. Now, obviously, we only have evidence that we've collected on them. I do enjoy Doctor Who. It's a good thing. And the game name is The Isles. So, yes, this is what the Stegosaurus would be up to in its younger years. It would be hiding in foliage, etc., to, hide away from predatory animals. And it was, as an animal, this thing could get very much into the posture inspection, of course. This thing could easily get into, I think let's see how heavy our one is. Let's see.
Despite the use of this trusty metal detector, I still can't find who the bloody hell asked.
Thank you so much for that. How do scientists know that dinosaurs do stuff? Well, that's a good question. That's a very good question. And we've got a lot of circumstantial evidence. So, largely, we can see a lot of dinosaur behaviour can be seen by their skeleton structure, by the contents of their stomach, all of that sort of thing. Can they not get over it? Come on, lad. Come on, give us a shimmy. You can get over there. Oh, is it too big for you? Oh, goodness me, that's going to be frustrating.
It's a long way.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Pirate, for the subscription. So, how scientists traditionally analyse, paleontologists to be specific, they'd look at bone structures, they'd look at contents of the stomach, they'd look at coprolites, fossilised poo, as you might otherwise know it, and it gives us an insight into the sort of things that, you know, these animals were consuming, and give us an insight into, you know, how their lifestyle would function. Bone structure and bone would also give a lot of insight into it, because we could see damage. You'd find damage being matched up from other prey predator species. So, for example, that's how we largely know that Allosaurus were one of the prolific North American hunters, because a lot of their... Oh, we almost had it then. Oh, come on, get yourself over. We need to get to the sanctuary, damn it. They'd match up the bone structures and the teeth, etc., and you know, they can look at the sort of things that the damage that would be done by prey and predator and everything like that, and match it up with bones. There's a lot of
So I'm civilized.
There's a lot of things that we can do to observe the lifestyles of these animals, and again, you can see it as well with fossilized footprints is a very big one. You can gather a lot from a footprint, even fossilized. You can get the rough weight estimation of the animal with the impression it's made, etc. You can get, was it injured? How old was it? What part of its life cycle development? There's lots of different ways in which we can, you know, observe what these animals were up to. And again, ultimately, like archaeology, like any of this, a lot of it is up to guesswork. A hell of a lot of it is indeed up to guesswork. There's still debates about Stegosaurus to this day. Largely, there's the argument that these were in fact mainly aquatic-based animals due to their height, due to locations that we found in terms of they'd spend a lot of time in swamps. That's one of the leading theories. Then others would suggest they're herd animals. Others would suggest they're solitary. And we really don't know, ultimately. Did you study in that field? Not as much as I'd like to. Oh, do I have to take the glasses off? There we go. The glasses come off for now. Not as much as I'd like to. I had a brief soiree into it, but not to a greater extent. Perhaps I'll go back to it one day. Who's really to say? Perhaps I'll go back to it. But, you know, there's a lot that we can learn from, you know, the bones and such, and also as well largely from present day animals as well. You know, you have phenomenon like convergent evolution and convergent behaviors. You know, so for example, one of the things that was theorized, so an animal from the time after the dinosaurs in the late Pleistocene, I think, Toxodon, it was basically a large megaform mammal, and there were lots of theories about it, but an outsider speculated that it was speculated they were like bison, etc. And then the current evidence for Toxodon is that they were very much more aquatic based, like hippopotamus, etc. Despite them not being from the pachyderm family, there's a lot of speculation to suggest that they were very hippo-like, and we get that with, again, with Stegosaurus as an example. Thank you so much for the follow. Stegosaurus, there's plenty to suggest that they were aquatic-based due to their bone structure, etc. Not obviously going for a swim in the ocean and whatnot, in much more shallow waters. Rather like these, actually. This would be, or it's speculated that this sort of environment would be its main thing. Thank you very much, King. You should see some of the other outfits. I tell you what, I get very much carried away. Oh, that sounded good. Oh, and we've got raptors. Joy, as if our life couldn't get any easier, hey? On our way to the sanctuary. Yeah, so you should check out some of my other outfits on the other social medias. I think you'll, if you like this one, you're gonna like those ones. Let me tell you, TikTok's most famous red coat. Okay. Right, there's some animal up ahead, and it sounds very raptor-like. I wonder what's going on. Definitely sounds like someone's being attacked. We want to steer well away from that. Maybe even slow down a little bit. Take a nice, steady pace. There we are. Hide in the foliage. We don't know what's bigger than us. We don't know what's more capable than us. We don't know what's trying to eat us. Like that. Whatever that was. It probably was one of the crocodile fellows. The Dinosaurus. I can never remember if it's Dinosaurus, Dinosaurus. Yep, that's a crocodile. If ever I've heard one. Yeah, you can hear the bugger. So we don't want to get particularly close to that, because he could be one hungry croc. TikTok's most famous red coat isn't famous enough. How so scientists know about dinosaur fat and body from just the beige? Henry, you're British. We face it like that. Yes, but I am also a stegosaurus, so I think that passes. So, how we know about things like fat density and bone and everything, again, largely there is a lot of guesswork in place for that, but we can tell by sort of tendon and... What is that? It definitely sounds hungry, whatever it is. So, for example, observing tendons and ligaments and how they connect to different parts of the body. Okay, there's something in those bushes there. Let's keep a nice, cautious pace on the approach of this one. Now, like my... Ah, yes, fellow dino enjoyer who is also British. I might like this one as well. Lest I be... Oh, yep, here we are. I heard the footsteps. We want to keep nice and quiet and keep our back turned to him, because otherwise this bugger is going to get... I get the impression he's maybe stalking us. He's definitely seen us and following us at a nice, gentle pace. He might not have, but, you know, it tends to be you want to always assume the risk, because it's going to be that much easier if you assume risk. But, yes, to answer your question... Ah, yes, there's some carrion over there, which means there's something's unfortunately passed away. But, yes, the bits that we can see and the wear and tear on bones, etc., gives us rough weight estimation, etc. But, again, as you pointed out, mostly guesswork. But we do have plenty of models to go off. One time, Henry is informative, and another time he's an autistic shouting maniac. Isn't that just the way? Isn't that just the way of the autist, sir? But yes, there's lots of things we can do. It's the same way that archaeologists often do with humans. So we take what we know, and we take observable patterns, etc., within just biology, etc. We apply the rules there, and we can get rough estimations of fat, bone density, etc., etc. But again, it's all just guesswork. Like, you know, if you've ever seen the skull of a hippopotamus, you know, and you had to reconstruct that without any prior knowledge, you'd make some sort of bloody space demon. But I also enjoy being an autistic maniac, just minus the shouting. Yes, it's not for everyone. It just happens to entail the games I play. The shouting is a quite significant part of it, come to find. People expect me to be their leader. Not to. Oh God, what's this? No, we got enough in here. Maybe I'm just not being very good at it. There we go. That's what we want. There we go. Hopefully Twitch doesn't get too angry at this. I'm not illicit tobacco use. But, of course we have the pipe to go with the outfit. This is an amateur hour. Greasy, someone link the man my red coat stuff. I think he'll like that if he likes it. Just dropped a heavy chest set on your foot. You poor soppy. Whoa, no, just some tobacco. Ooh. That's a fierce storm. And look at that, all that lightning coming down. Oh, goodness. This is one loud storm. Well, we're on the approach to the sanctuary, so that's a good sign. And it's going to make tracking us all that more difficult too. So, win-win really. That's the charring there done. Win-win all round. I'll probably, let's put on the kettle as well, so we can make ourselves a cup of tea. Let's do this. There we go. There we go. Right, kettle's on. Well, we'll make ourselves a cup of tea. There we go. Right, so on the approach to the sanctuary. So, the sanctuary is sort of the replication of how juvenile dinosaurs would often find. Oh, thank you, Ghost. You're too kind, lad. Well, it's a neat little mechanic in this game, because it prevents adult dinosaurs from entering in. And they can still enter in with a bit of trickery, but well, it's very often not worth it. You get attacked by a feed. I've played Ark. I probably need to play Ark. I've never played it myself, but I've been it's very much a dinosaur game. There we go. You know what? I'll. Thank you, Gray. You're a loyal lad, Gray. You're a loyal lad. I tell you what, gentlemen. I'll open the floor to questions. How's that? That's quite loud, isn't it? On the old sound effects front. Let's turn this down a little. Turn it down just a touch. There we go. So, if you've got any questions about dinosaurs or anything like that, let me know, and we'll see. We'll open up the questioning to the rest of the audience. Is there any particular facts or anything you'd like to tell me or like to ask me? I'm not particularly qualified, but I'll give you my best answer as best I can. I'd love Ark, would I? I'll have to give it a spin then, I think. My button come loose. Oh my goodness. That's scandalous, isn't it? Let's do that. At least the rainstorm passed. Who's that? We'll let it. I'll do. Let's turn the massive volume a tad up. I think it's just a storm, really. That's the problem. When the storm's not there. Who would win in a fight? T-Rex or 100 Henry West? Probably 100 Henry West, realistically. Henry, you should make a game suggestion. Forum chat. I do in the VIP section. I probably need to open it up to the wider audience. I think that might be an idea. Right, let's drink some water, and hopefully there's not another crocodile. They do get alerted when you start drinking, so it's always a cautionary approach on this, especially in this swampland. You've always got to be careful. What's my favourite dinosaur ever? Whoa. Isn't that the question? My favourite dinosaur ever. Oh, what is my favourite dinosaur ever? Goodness me, putting me on the spot. My favourite dinosaur ever. Gonna have to be basic on this one. Going to have to go Triceratops on this. We could do Ankylosaurus actually. No, Triceratops. So the Triceratops as an animal. Phenomenal animal from everything we have in terms of evidence, etc. It was a herd animal. The thing could weigh something like 7 to 10 tons, if I'm remembering the figures correctly. Found doing battle against Tyrannosaurus Rex and other creatures of the time period that were particularly mean and particularly nasty. They were phenomenal parents from what we understand, and again, exhibited some very complex herd culture as far as things go. I just like them in that aspect. They're fearsome, they're particularly tough. Ankylosaurus, that's a good choice. Velociraptor's a fantastic choice. The most accurate dinosaur. You mean in this game? That's a good question. Oh, Chieftain Metal Rings. So, Velociraptor's a good one. Velociraptor, tiny little things that they were, and they were small, but they were, from what we understand, I mean, you know, it's where the word raptor means bird of prey, and they were part of some of the avian species of dinosaurs that survived to become birds. So, those of you who don't know, birds, there's no technically about it. Birds are dinosaurs. They're the survivors of the avian dinosaur. Oh dear, I didn't mean to do that. There's something within proximity. Not too close proximity. But birds are dinosaurs because they are the survivors of the avian dinosaurs. And that's where we get birds from. So during the KT extinction event, which was the meteor that slammed Muck Jesus into the side of the Gulf of Mexico, or the Gulf of America, or whatever it's called these days, everything roughly 20 kilograms and under was safe. Everything 20 kilograms and over, unfortunately, just gone immediately. Well, not immediately. There's a lot of speculation to how long they survived after. What's the smallest dinosaur? Well, I'll address the Ankylosaurus. Ankylosaurus were badass. There's no way about it. What was these other bits? The Casseroras are such strong proof. Ew. Casseroras are terrifying animals. Terrifying. The smallest dinosaurs, I think, were probably compies or, you know, any of the avian species. You had some quite small avian species. And they were... So, dinosaur in itself, is Dino Nuggets a dinosaur? It certainly is. Is Jurassic Park based on a true story? Absolutely. You know, it happened. 1980, Isles of Nuba, off the coast of wherever it was off the coast of South America, I seem to recall. I tell you what, gentlemen, if you want some real horror, read the Jurassic Park original books. Those things were terrifying, even for me. There's some pretty graphic descriptors in there, like when a load of compies... I don't know how to say it without being particularly crass or vulgar about it, but they ate a baby person, and it gave me the bloody shivers, it must be said. Final question. My opinion on Anomalocaris. Anomalocaris, eh? That I can give you an answer on. So, Anomalocaris, name translates into strange shrimp. Now, initially, when archaeologists found Anomalocaris, they thought it was several different animals altogether, because they only found isolated surviving fragments of Anomalocaris. And it was only after later discovering that it all came from the animal, the same animal, that it was a complete thing. Now, Anomalocaris was the first apex predator that we understand of the Cambrian period. It was the first with a developed eyesight. It was the first one that was, you know, designed to hunt down, and hunt it did, as we understand it. It feasted on trilobites and all sorts of things. But Anomalocaris is very interesting because of how widespread we find it, and also how, you know, prolific we find it to be. That better be a bloody pig, or I'm going to... Yeah, it's a pig. Okay, they're pigs. I was getting a bit concerned there. We'll let the predators have their way with them. But, yes. Would primitive humans survive in the Jurassic era? Probably not. Probably not. And there's good reason for that. Primitive humans chances are wouldn't have survived, on top of all the, predatory animals there were, and there were a lot of them. You have to understand there was a different oxygen standard. There was a different amount of oxygen in the air. I think it was something like 12% more, something like that. Nowhere near Just the wind. Just the wind. Don't even need to worry about it. He didn't see me. Okay, just the wind. Just the wind. We're fine. Almost at the sanctuary. Let's not expose ourselves too much, though, shall we? But yes, what server am I playing on? That's a good question. One of the EU servers. I'll have a check for you. But yes, the primitive humans wouldn't have survived. Oxygen content in the air being, what it was and everything like that, would not have allowed, and the carbon dioxide content that was found in sort of, I mean, it depends which part of the Jurassic period you mean. Maybe Middle Jurassic, they might have, when, because, so the world was recovering largely. The Triassic period, for example, was basically Earth's recovery period after the largest mass extinction event that ever was. It killed between 80 and 96% of life. Basically everything in the ocean died, etc. And the Triassic period was basically 50 million years of the Earth bouncing back. It's such a... Like, the Triassic extinction event... Yes, the wind does sound a bit dinosaur-esque. You are quite right on that front. So what you have to understand about the Great Dying, as it was called, the Permian Triassic extinction event. Oh god, predatory animals. That's just what we want. Maybe they'll leave us alone. Maybe. He's definitely seen us. Is he going to go for it, though? That's the trick. I'll show him my stalagmizer. And give him a bit of a display. See what we can do for him. Parasaurolophus or Parasaurolophus. Or... Okay, he looks friendly enough. So maybe if we turn with him, maybe he'll get the idea. Maybe this is our way of communicating like bees. We dance for the bees. So Parasaurolophus was an interesting thing. Again, very much predicted to be an aquatic-based dinosaur. Is it possible to devolve? It certainly is. I mean, again, ask dinosaurs. You go from being T-Rex to a chicken. That's quite the devolution, if ever you... and you get everything turning into crabs. I forgot what there's an official scientific term for it. Everything turning into crabs. But yeah, you could... Hello. You're alright there. Sorry, I was just here to... Am I disturbing you? I do apologise. There we are. Let's eat some of this, shall we? Get our nutrition out. Bloody youngins these days, always getting in the way. Yeah, well, you can't win them all, can you? Can't win them all. Crabification, something. Could we devolve into... Well, there's no reason to suggest we couldn't devolve. You know, stranger things have happened. Sorry, Parasaurolophus, anyway. As far as we understand Parasaurolophus, the specimens we have found, what we do know about it is it was very much a herd-based dinosaur. It was a prosauropod. Let's signal we're friendly. Did you just go for us? That wasn't very nice, was it? Why none of my binds working either? Well, he's yeah, so he's getting gastrals, whatever. That's the one ghost. I can never remember the term, but yes. Caracanization. I think that's how you pronounce it. I could be wrong. But yeah, Parasaurolophus, sorry, where was I? Very much herd animal, as aquatically based, Migratory, we know that much. We found large evidence of migratory patterns and trails by animals in such a nature. I just need to get the control sorted. Where is the... where's the raw? I need to do the raw. Vocalize. Voice broadcast. We'll do that as... Right, we'll do that as that. Do that as that. And we'll do that as that. And we'll do that as that. That should do. Right, there we are. That should be able to nicely apply. But yes, it was aquatic, migratory, herd-based animal. Evening, Mike. How are you doing? Let's see. What did you miss? Not much. So, could we devolve into animals? Could the idea of Jurassic Park really work? Well, you'll have to ask Colossal Industries. So, Colossal have, I say they're planning on it. They've already bought back a prehistoric animal, or as close to it as we can. We've got the direwolf roaming the earth once again, and they're planning on doing a mammoth. So, we're starting to live in that reality where genetic engineering is getting to that degree. How did dinosaurs exist for millions of years, but we exist for 300k years? But how are we more advanced? Well, isn't that the question? Isn't that the question? And the answer to that is we don't know. We don't know because... So to put it like this... Hold up. Play Herbie. Play Herbie always. So, to put it like this. What we are as animals... We are, as far as we can tell, the only atoms that are aware that we're sentient atoms. And that level of self-awareness has only been found in us. Now, for what reason that is, we have no answer for. Human consciousness, in the way we understand it. We have some theories. So, there's a lot of compelling theories out there as to why we developed consciousness in a way that that lots of things didn't. So, one of the leading theories is that our ability to cook, because that allowed us to extract more nutrition from the meat, allowed frontal cortex development and everything like that. But again, we don't know. There's some other theories out there that I find quite compelling, like Graham Hancock, for example. Bit of a taboo name, but I find his theory that we gain sentience from use of psychedelic substances to be quite an interesting one. Very compelling. I'm not sure of the scientific evidence to back it, but oh god, sorry, my tea's brewing. I hope I didn't lose too much water from that. But that's an interesting one. This is a multiplayer game. So, well, that's one theory, but the simple answer is we don't know. We don't know. Well, there's many different estimated reasons as to why animals don't gain sentience. And again, we're the only ones to gain the level of sapience that we're aware of. And Henry, I know how, I know why. Please tell us, Your Majesty. But yes, we don't know. That's the answer. That's the most simple and realistic answer I can give you. Because that's how God made us. Yes, absolutely. Could we evolve animals to be more advanced? We already have. We already have. If you look at, for example, dogs, our canine companions. The dogs are arguably very advanced. I mean, if you look at, it depends what you mean by evolve as well. So, evolution slow process, but quicker than most people estimate. So, please don't be predatory, whatever's coming my way. So most people don't know that you can actually see traits in animals, etc., developing as things evolve. So one of the best examples that happened, you trained your pet snail to get me a beer from the fridge. That's what we like. So, regarding that, we have evidence to suggest that domestication, for example, it manifests physically. Domestication manifests physically. Now, the experiment was done with the Russian silver fox. So, in the Soviet Union, they bred silver foxes. They bred one group of them, the ones who were more adverse to humans, and they came out with sharper features. They came out, the ones who were averse to humans, they bred them. They were sharper features, more pointed, more jagged, etc. And then the ones that were less averse to humans, they essentially got floppy ears, they got floppy tails, ended up looking like dogs. And that's a demonstration that it manifests physically. Domestication can physically manifest. And we are, in fact, seeing that in the modern day occur naturally. So raccoons, for example, household who have been fed and vacated the living room. Good stuff. So, for example, raccoons, they're a perfect example of domestication manifesting physically, and it's also natural within remit of being natural. So, at the moment, we're seeing raccoons appearing with a lot more floppy and sort of softer features, because raccoons have largely gone from their scavenging routes out in the wastes and out in the sort of forests and everything, to primarily being urban environments, primarily being around humans, etc. And these cute traits are essentially what's allowed them to survive. So being less adverse to humans, being more friendly, having features that appeal to humans has served them well evolutionary. It's how they've eaten, etc. So in terms of raccoons are definitely my spirit animal, absolutely. Can we make animals as smart as humans? Depends what you mean by that. So as smart as humans, now the question being is how do we measure that in terms of intelligence? Now if you want the level of sapience where, if you look at, there are certain groups and families of chimpanzees that can be found within the Congo Delta that are currently in the Stone Age. They're currently manufacturing tools and weapons. They're currently, last report I heard, they'd actually figured out binding. So could they go to the level of having human-like intelligence? Who's to say? Who's to say? We've come from the lineage. We differ 2% DNA from chimpanzees, I believe. Something ridiculous like that. Who's really to say? Could animals become to our level of sapience? And I mean, if we look at some of them out there, whales, for example, and very much porpoises and killer whales especially. And killer whales, they have accents, they recognize themselves in a mirror, they have complex communication, they can communicate with humans, they can do convergent hunting, etc. Often you find them working with native populations to hunt. Crows, for example, corvids in general, they have the problem-solving capabilities of, of children, essentially, and it's the ultimate question. It's the ultimate question. I look at some humans, I think maybe they already have. It is quite so. But you see, you see, in terms of what caused human sapience to the level that we're communicating on Twitch, we don't have an answer to that. We don't know. We absolutely have no idea how that came into fruition. Again, many guesses, and we don't know if that's the gateway to this level of sapience, or if there's animals displaying it that we don't recognise. we make an ecosystem where we let chimpanzees and other animals evolve with no human help or interference. Well, yes, a lot of them have. I mean, if you look at orangutans, they're a perfect example of this as well. Orangutans are very, very intelligent animals, incredibly so. I'd go as far to suggest that orangutans. I love zoos in terms of preservation, etc., but they're one of the animals that I just don't think belong in a zoo whatsoever. I think it should be completely illegal. Sorry, chaps, just pouring myself a cup of tea. I personally am of the opinion that orangutans should not be kept in the zoo. I think it should be illegal. I think it's inhumane to do that because they are very, very intelligent animals and emotionally charged animals as well. Didn't a gorilla play Minecraft? It wouldn't shock me. It was a chimpanzee. That also doesn't shock me. Maybe if I reduce that. There we go. Reduce the sound of the storm to a nice, simple one. But that's the thing. You see a lot of other primates and all of that sort of thing. They display levels of complexity. I mean, you look in India, for example. Look at the small monkeys. I always forget what they're called. They understand currency. And currency is very much an abstract. They understand an abstract. They understand that if you trade for this, you get something in return. And granted, they don't understand it to the same levels of humans. You're not going to find any of the monkeys being held for tax law, etc. Have you been to Painted Zoo? I think it's not there. I quite like Painted Zoo. It's a good little zoo. But yes, if you look at monkeys, they understand abstract. We have some apes that understand abstract concepts, and I think it's that in itself is human levels of intelligence. It's abstract concepts that partly what society is built on. Like if you look at money, it's an abstract, complete abstraction of the human brain, and it's something that only we can really abide by. Do you agree with this theory? Society reshapes conditions, and conditions shape society. That's a good question. Do I agree with it? I'll have to really give it some thought, I should think. The thing with society reshapes conditions, yes it does. It certainly does. And conditions reshape society. Yes, that's very much true. I mean, again, you can see examples all throughout history of that. If you look at, then probably the most prolific example of that, we need to turn that rain down, probably in European history that I can think of, is the Black Death. I think that's an example of where that concept came true, because obviously the society, conditions shape society, so obviously large urbanized centres, etc., allowed the Black Death to spread, and then when, what am I trying to think? I'll chamber my thought after this cup of tea, I think. Right, hold two. Let me think about my thought. I'm just trying to consider the concept quickly. I completely agree with your point about orangutan in the zoo. I'm guessing for a lot of people, considering allowing two sentient to keep in captivity will raise a lot of questions about other animals we simply view as not sentient today. Yes, it's an interesting one. Have I ever eaten crickets? I have. But yes, with my point on the Black Death, obviously the urbanized society is what allowed Black Death to spread, and then obviously the conditions therein changed it to a worker-based society where peasants were no longer serfs anymore, where farming classes suddenly rose up in the ranks and everything like that, and it became a buyer's market, which spurred on the agricultural revolution and everything like that, which spurred on the industrial revolution in turn. So yeah, I think there's a large say in it. But yes, it's a philosophical one, because obviously, especially when we're talking about sentience, it's really hard to pin that down, especially with, as you point out, orangutans. The problem obviously becomes that we ourselves are primates as human beings. Homo sapiens are primates ourselves. We are from that lineage, and so it's easy to identify that level of sentience in a primate. Something, for example, if it was a gopher displaying that amount, it would be hard to do. And then there's even the measure of things that are like, I mean, if you look at mole rats, for example, at what point do they become something that we need to consider? I need to get my dinosaur some water. This steg is thirsting. Like, look at so naked mole rats, for example. Fascinating species, truly fascinating. They might look like a sausage wrapped in testicle skin, but they are one of the only eusocial mammals to exist, which is remarkable, really, because you think about eusocialism. Eusocial animals are primarily found in the insect world. You get all varieties of wasp and ant, etc. They're all eusocial, and it's manifested in mammalian things, and it allows to highly complex and highly social societies, etc. But at what point does it become? Oh, hello. I hope you and your boyfriend are having a good time. We're talking about philosophy while we're doing dinosaur stuff. Having a quieter one today, you see. Quieter Twitch stream. It's good to have you. Really good to have you. Do you think some of human nature, like greed, can be killed off based on materialistic conditions? Enjoy the not normal. Yes, absolutely. Evening. Do I think human conditions like greed? So greed isn't a human condition. That's just, obviously humans can be greedy. I think it's largely the thing I find compelling about or the thing I fundamentally disagree with in terms of a lot of Marxist-based philosophy. And Karl Marx had, some idea as to the human nature, and he wasn't wrong about everything. But he was certainly wrong about the fundamentals of human nature. We, as a species, greed isn't just, a human thing. It's found throughout the animal kingdom, etc. It's found in, all sorts of creatures from all different walks of life. And it's survivalism, ultimately. But if you look at humans, we are, a plethora of creatures. We have, or a plethora of creatures. We're a plethora of ideals and a plethora of different attributes, for example. Like, we are the same species that, let's use hyperbole here, for example. We have, people in prison for their life or put to death for some of the most heinous acts you can think of. And then we have awards for things like bravery, etc. If you look at the Victoria Cross, Medal of Honor, etc. Outfits and uniforms, indeed. Suppose we can only perceive sentience and conscience in the way that we recognise it in ourselves. Yeah, it's hardly the most unbiased let. Exactly, and it's how do you measure that ultimately? But how many outfits do you have every video? Well, I have as many as I need. But yes, it's one of the things I find fundamentally wrong about Karl Marx is that we are, we're cowardly and we're heroic. We're greedy and we're selfless. We're, all sorts of contradicting traits, and that's just what humans are. Humans are contradicting, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. We're all walks and all different things, and that's agricultural society. That's where we came from. People specialize When we were all generalists, we were hunter-gatherers, but when we became specialists, that's when we see complex society. I'm glad you enjoy the outfits. Again, this is a bit of a quieter one, and I do intend to start doing more of these quieter streams so you can hear, some of my unbiased thought. I'm pretty certain there's at least one person listening using me to get to sleep, and I want to perpetuate that. But I also like interesting conversations. Yeah, sometimes I go completely in the nude, don't I? As I should do, Got to show off this masculine physique. Oh, look at that. Don't want to rip another shirt. Probably for the best, but look at that. Masculine bulk. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed interacting with people. Do you think human nature is shaped more by material conditions or by ideas? Oh, good question. Good question. Hard one to answer as well, because we can't go to the sanctuary anymore. We've grown up. So let's pick a mutation. What does this one? That's hindered when wading. We're going to be doing a lot of that. Efficient digestion. Food drains more. Sustained hydration. Okay, we'll do sustained hydration, because that's going to be... What do you mean, access not old enough? Yes, it is. Shut your mouth. So, that's the thing with that, is that humans, granted, yes, we're shaped by the material around us, etc., the material conditions, we're also not. And I mean, if you, again, one of the big things that shows that we're not so much, the separation is... I mean, if you look at spiritual belief and religion, that's one of the big things that ultimately shows that we're not entirely materially based. Because when abstracts such as that are allowed to exist, I'm a, for those of you who don't know, I'm a Greek Orthodox Christian, not a very good one, which Christian is. But, I find... rather compellingly that if you look at the existence of shamanistic religions, especially, it wasn't universal to just Homo sapiens, it was also evidence of religion in Neanderthals, etc. And there were things being done that weren't entirely practical. I mean, if you look at one of the oldest monotheistic religions, for example, you have Zoroastrianism, and if you look at some of their burial practices, etc., not really the most practical thing, it must be said. And some of the belief systems, again, like, not all religious practice is based off material culture and material things around you. And we see that from shamanistic religions, we see that from... Do you think you could have prevented the Great Schism? Not even... What are you trying to do in-game? At the moment, I should probably commentate. So our Stegosaurus has grown, as you might be able to see. Small passage of time. The Stalagamizers is a bit more spiky. The spikes are a bit more spiky. So we are no longer able to enter the sanctuary. So what that little thing at the top is the migration pattern. That's where we go to find food, because food spawns at a high rate. We've also got this, which is we might go towards there, actually, because we're likely to find more food. And it's closer as well. This is a migration thing just for other Stegosaurus players. So it's a place where other Stegs can meet up together. And there's nutrition that works for us, really. What made me choose Greek Orthodox over the others? So in terms of... I come from... Originally, I was I was typical non-denominational, non-conformist Baptist and everything. But then you obviously read the Bible and everything like that, and then one of the things I found compelling is that boomers especially, there's a lot of things in the Bible that suggest that maybe the non-denominational boomers have got it a bit wrong. For example, James 2:24, it said, as I believe, as I recall it, that salvation is not through Scripture alone. And the thing that got me is which came first, the church or the Bible? And come to find, it was the church that came first, because obviously, how was the Bible collected and canonized, etc., and agreed upon? And that was the bit that got me, because most people have this view of Christianity of being the Bible existing and then the church springing up from that. And what people fail to understand is Christianity was originally oral tradition, and then it was written down and formalized, etc. And we have councils of Nicaea and everything to help that canonization and things like that. And even in Scripture, you see the combination of, the word and the mouth, etc. And it's talking about the mix of these oral traditions and written scripture, etc. I think that's the bit that drew me most, and I found personally within Greek Orthodoxy, I find there to be a lot more truth and a lot more sincerity, because I think non-denominationals. Do you think egoism and self-interest ever led to collective liberation? That's a good question. Did it ever lead to collective liberation? Certainly, in some times it did. It depends what you mean by liberation, really. There's a lot to be said for liberated from what exactly. I'm sure during the Great Terror they considered themselves liberated from monarchy, whereas I consider them idiots. It's a. Could you prevent the Great Schism? No. No, I could not. Oh, tea time always. You've always got to have a bit of tea time. I'll commentate on the game as well. So what we're doing now is we're wallowing in mud because my Stegosaurus is a mucky puppy. No, there is practical reason for it as well. The mud covers up the scent of your steg. It prevents predators from chasing you down, and it also prevents as much bleeding damage as well. So it really it gives you a nice little bonus. But hello there, random stranger. Have I ever read Max Steiner? No, I can't say I have. It must be said. I've probably heard a few of his works and philosophies pop up now and again. But again, I tend not to. I have read plenty of political philosophy, from anything from Karl Marx to Julius Evola to all of that lot. I quite like the, shall we say, more vanguardist elements of political philosophy, because I think vanguardism, you get the more wacky ideas, granted, but you get the more sincere ideas, I come to find, because they're very much on the outskirts. Like, if you look, did dinosaurs ever get red rings, or did they get red sting rings, or did they use leaves? They use leaves. I'm sure they use leaves. Not to. I've accidentally got rid of the chat. There we are. Are other people playing on the map that will attack you? Yeah, other people are playing. It's going well, random. We're just having we're putting the world to rights over a cup of tea and some dinosaurs. So yes, all of the other dinosaurs that you see are other players. Yeah, and that's the beauty of this game. I think, as Soviet Womble points out quite nicely, by pure mechanic of the game, it makes it infinitely more compelling, because you are placed in the situation of predator-prey, primarily, and predators need to hunt down the prey animals to sustain their existence, and prey animals need to survive the predators. And because it's melee as well, you have to get close, you have to think about it, you really have to make consideration. There is something down there, and I don't know what on earth it is. I don't really want to attract its attention all that much either. So we are just going to quietly sneak round, I think. And I'm going to have some more tea. What does it mean to be free in a world where survival must be earned? Am I British? It's entirely possible. Who's really to say? What does it mean to be free in a world where survival must be earned? Well, that's for you to figure out in this world. I don't think there's any one answer to that. My particular philosophy when it comes to that, the only freedom that you tend to get in life is the freedom to make your own mistakes. That's the only sort of freedom you'll ever have. So use that freedom wisely. But that's my particular contention on the matter, though I'm woefully unqualified to comment on such matters. My webcam's lagging. Hold to, it does that sometimes. It struggles. I think it's just because of what it is. Let's see if I can fix that a little bit. God, my shirt's coming open. You got a new keyring. That's what we like. Also, I'm going to try this. Let me just try this quickly. Ooh, I hear movement. Here we are. Let's try this. There, that's not it. Okay. Okay, that's certainly not it. Let me try this. Okay. Sorry about this, chaps. Let's have a little crack at this. I deactivate this. I close that off. Unless that works. Alright, let's try this. Sorry about this, I'm just trying to get that webcam sorted. Do you think England should have a monarchy? Yes, I do. I'm very much a monarchist. To my dying day. Might be. I just realised you can't see the bits and bobs. Is history a process or a battlefield? Bit of both, really. Bit of both. It's yeah, I don't think it's one or the other, personally. I think it's a mix of both. How's that? Is the webcam a bit less laggy now, or is that now it's working properly? That's what we like to hear. That's entirely what we like to hear. You have to remember as well, the important thing that I will highlight to all of you is I know about as much as any of you do. I'm just some chap on the internet. I'm woefully unqualified to speak on such subjects. And I think it's important to remember that I'm just as knowledgeable as you are in the subject, and that's to say, not that you lot know nothing, but I absolutely know nothing. Seems fine now. That's what we'd like to hear. That's good stuff. But yes, no, there's a lot to be said for anything of such nature, and yes, I just don't think it's any one of those things, King. I think it's a bit of both and a bit of neither as well. But I find one or the other questions to be very much, I think they tend to reveal much more about the person asking them than they do about the subject matter, a lot of the time. It depends on the accent and tone that they ask it in. I mean, there's sometimes, largely it's genuinely curiosity. Does language reveal reality or construct it? That's a good question. Does language reveal reality or construct it? I'd argue it constructs it because, as we talked about earlier, money, for example, money is very much an abstract concept. Oh, there's a pig over there. Look at that. Money is an abstract concept, and the reason we understand money to the degree we do, and to the position we do, is because we are able to use language to help explain that abstraction. And it's how we get things off of money. Like, find me tax law in nature. It doesn't exist. It's a human abstraction. And it's not to say those things aren't real, so to speak, but language is probably one of the gateways to civilized society and to civilization in general. So I'd say that language constructs reality, largely. That would be my position. It can reveal it, most certainly. Any great number of combinations of words, like Dumbledore said, one of the best sources of magic is words, because it allows, oh god, we're a bit hungry. Oh, and there's something in the water. What is that? Can we see it? Or is it splashing around? I think it hunted a pig down. Whatever it is. I think it's probably one of those big angry crocodiles, isn't it? We best stay away from that. That's not what we want. But yeah, that would be my particular position on the matter. What about you? What do you reckon, King? Do you reckon it constructs reality or reveals it? I guess it depends on which background you're from. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Do you need a gun?
I do need a gun. I do very much need a gun. Well, mind you, I've got the steak. I wonder how big we are. Oh, look at that. We're almost at the young juvenile stage. That's not bad for one night. Or we are at the young juvenile stage. We're almost at the adult stage. We're going to grow. What do you think on big political matters then, gentlemen? Do you have any philosophical or political ideas that you lot can suggest at all? Anything that of good nature that you can put forward out for debate? You would say it does both. And what makes you say that, out of interest? I'm rather curious. Yeah, rather curious. I do like a good reasoned discussion on philosophy, ethics, and just putting the world to rights. Oh, goodness me! Right, hopefully we don't die of starvation before we get there. Maybe we should speed up our little Stegosaurus. Well, not so little anymore. How heavy is he? Bloody hell. Almost a ton. Right. Okay, 1 second, chaps. I'm going to have a cup of tea. And then I may quickly go to the toilet, actually. Bear with me, chaps. Language does not function as a neutral mirror of the world. Oh, is the camera lagging again? I tell you what, gentlemen. How long have we been on? An hour and a half. Right. So I tell you what, because the camera's going funny, I might have to fix that. Tell you what, we're going to end the stream here, but we'll go on a little bit of a raid. So stick about. We'll go and raid someone. Yeah, we'll figure that out for next time, I think. We'll go on a little bit of a raid though. So stick about, and I will see you lot again for. Oh god, I can hear myself. Mute me, thank you very much. Right, I will end the stream here. Stick about, we'll go for a raid. It'll be fantastic. You'll love it. Alright. Cheerio for now, gentlemen.